I don't remember much about the drive back. Just miles blurring into each other, the soft thump of worn tires, and the hollow feeling in my chest that no playlist could drown out. A week ago, I had a life that fit neatly into a frame. A good job in the city. A wife whose smiles once made rooms brighter. And then, like dominoes falling in slow motion, everything collapsed. First the pink slip, downsizing, they said, and then the divorce papers, dropped on the kitchen table with a precision that suggested she'd been waiting for the right moment. I could have stayed and fought, could have clung to the fraying threads of the life I built. But pride's a funny thing. When it's bruised, it either makes you stubborn, or it sends you home. Home. It had been 15 years since I left Marrow Creek, a town so small that you had to squint to find it on a map. A place where dreams were considered dangerous, and ambition was often mistaken for arrogance. I had left swearing I'd never come back. Yet there I was, standing in front of my childhood home, suitcase in hand like some prodigal son, except no one was waiting with open arms. The front door creaked open before I could knock. "Well," my mother said, arms crossed over her faded apron. "Look who the wind blew back." No hug. No welcome. Just those 4 words, heavy with years of unspoken things. I shuffled inside, my shoes squeaking against the old hardwood floors. The house smelled the same, a mix of lemon polish and wood smoke, but it felt smaller somehow, like my memories had stretched it taller in my mind. We made small talk, the way people do when they're not ready to face bigger things. I told her about the layoff, the divorce, the city that had lost its magic. She nodded, making tea, her face a map of wrinkles and restrained emotion. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter. "You always thought you were too good for this town," she said, not cruelly, just stating a fact. "Maybe we weren't good enough for you." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in years. She was older, frilier, but there was still fire in her. The same fire that once nursed me through broken bones and heartbreaks. The same fire I'd taken for granted. "I didn't mean to." I began, but the words tangled in my throat. We left it there. For now. The next morning, I wandered into town. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had. The diner still leaned against the corner like it might fall over any day now. The hardware store still sold the same tools to the same faces. People recognized me, of course. In Marrow Creek, they always remembered. Some nodded stiffly. Others, less forgiving, muttered under their breath. "Dreamer boy's back. Didn't work out so well, huh?" I could have packed up and left again. I wanted to. But something stubborn, something maybe inherited from my mother, made me stay. I needed work. Real work. My resume wasn't worth much here, where hands mattered more than diplomas. It was old Mr. Hargrove at the lumber yard who gave me my first shot. Not because he liked me, he didn't, but because he needed someone to fix the sawmill's broken systems. And I could fix things. I always could, if I stayed long enough. Weeks blurred into months. Calloused hands replaced soft ones. Early mornings became familiar again. And slowly, quietly, something started to shift. Mrs. Jacobs, who once laughed when I said I wanted to be an architect, started leaving pies on our porch. Tommy Reed, my old school bully, offered me a beer after work one evening without any bitterness behind it. Even the town's suspicion began to melt, bit by bit, like snow in the first warm sun of spring. At night, I'd sit on the porch with my mother, sharing stories about the day, about broken machines, stubborn customers, small victories. She'd listen, sometimes chuckling, sometimes just staring into the horizon like she was searching for something long lost. One evening, when the air smelled of rain and hope, she turned to me and said, almost shyly, You know, your father wanted to leave too. Always talked about the big city. Never did. I waited. He stayed for me. For you. But sometimes, I wonder if we loved him enough, or if we just needed him too much. I didn't know what to say. So I took her hand, rough and warm, and squeezed it. We sat like that until the stars came out, silent but connected in a way we hadn't been in years. 6 months later, I opened my own workshop in town, a small place, nothing fancy. Creekside repairs. Practical, like the people it served. I fixed everything from broken tractors to worn-out furniture, and somehow, word spread that Dreamer Boy wasn't so useless after all. Sometimes, when tourists stopped by and admired my handiwork, they'd ask how I ended up in such a small town. I'd smile, thinking of broken dreams and mended fences, and say, sometimes you have to lose everything to find the only thing that matters. And it was true. Because somewhere between the broken machines and the quiet evenings on the porch, I had stitched myself back together, stronger, humbler, and finally home.